I'm so glad to see everybody. Y'all are in for a big treat, and feel free to flip on your camera if you would like. We're getting settled in here for our night of inspiration. It's so great to see so many familiar faces and some new friends as well. It's going to be absolutely amazing. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Natasha Hazlett, and I am the founder of Unstoppable Influence and the Unstoppable Influence Academy. And we are sponsoring this evening's event. And I'm excited to introduce you to our MC for the evening. All right. Just wait just one more minute and then we'll get started. And while you're here, it'd be fun to know where everyone is tuning in from. So feel free to chat and let us know where you are calling in from. And I am here coming to y'all from Franklin, Tennessee. We've got North Carolina, Nashville, Washington State, Idaho, Texas, Nolensville, Tennessee. Yay. Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Amarillo, Texas, and your cousin lives in Franklin. That's amazing. Connecticut. Oh, I'm so glad to see. And I know a lot of the friends in Franklin, Tennessee are our gathering table ladies. So I'm very excited to have our gathering table community meeting up with our Unstoppable Influence community, all communities of absolutely exceptional women with such a tremendous heart. All right. Oklahoma, Idaho. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome. My name is Natasha Hazlett, and I am the founder of the Unstoppable Influence Academy, along with my husband, Richard. And I am just so excited and honored to have all of y'all here for this evening of inspiration. This celebration and this evening's powerful talks are all part of our advanced speaker certification. And we collaborated with Kristen Oakley, who's going to be the MC for this evening. She has been our speaker coach, our speaker trainer from the very beginning at Unstoppable Influence. And so at Unstoppable Influence, we want to help our members step boldly into their callings. And so whether it's people that want to be authors or coaches or speakers, we want to provide the training that they need to go out there and do the things that they've been called to do. And when it came time to equip people to become speakers, we really had only one real choice of who we wanted to head that up. And that was the lovely Kristen Oakley. And when you hear her and when you meet her, you will understand why. She has over 20 years of experience in public speaking as a professional presenter. She is frequently on TV. I think you've recorded over 100 and something shows just so far this year. And so she has extensive experience, and she is such an absolute joy and a pleasure to work with. And I know that you are going to absolutely love her. And she has helped our students so much over the years. And we're so grateful to you, Kristen. And without further ado, I'm going to let you get the evening started.
Well, thank you so much, Natasha, and hello, everyone. My heart is just overflowing with joy seeing so many familiar faces, and I'm so excited to connect with some of you who I've not met previously. Natasha, thank you for that introduction, and the reality is none of this tonight would be possible had Natasha and Rich not believed in me and invited me into this incredible journey and opportunity a little over 5 years ago now. So hard to believe it's been that long, but really what tonight to me is such an important celebration, not only of the women who are going to be doing the courageous thing of sharing the message that's been placed on their heart to share with all of us. But it's really also a celebration of the ripple effect and how one person can change a life that in turn can have that ripple effect and affect so many other lives in such a positive way. So, Natasha and Rich, thank you again, both of you, for giving me this opportunity and entrusting me with the joy and the privilege of getting to be the Unstoppable Speaker Coach. So again, so great to be here with all of you. I'm not going to take too much time because this is not about me tonight. This is about our 6 incredible women who are graduating from the program. But I want to share a little bit about the journey that they've been through, specifically this past year, so that you have context for what we are celebrating and doing tonight. Over the past year, these women have completed a 6-month program with me that is part of my brand, Speak and Shine. And this 6-month program was focused on how to be influential with your voice and your ideas. And each month we explored a different theme of speaking that had not only a mindset component, but also a public speaking skill to focus on. And one of the things that made this program very unique was there was a strong emphasis on the art of speaking spontaneously. And I don't know about you, but that is something that has been a challenge for me throughout my career because I can do really well when I'm prepared and when I know what's about to happen and I've spent the time and done the work. And yes, that's an important skill to have as well. But being able to think quickly on our feet, being able to speak from the heart, being present in the moment and speaking from that place is another skill altogether. And I really applaud these women for not only doing the program and moving through it, but taking this huge step tonight in sharing their message with all of you. The task that they were given for this evening was to share with all of you a 10-minute talk of their choosing. And I encourage them to use this as an opportunity to share whatever message would best serve them in whatever they are doing. I know some of these women have been asked to give talks at their churches. Some of them have been asked to give a workshop. Some of them are trying to grow their own coaching business. So wherever they were or whatever it is that they're doing, this talk was an opportunity for them to use what they've learned and put together this 10-minute message and bless all of you with it. Now, a couple things that make our program a little bit different. This is not your typical kind of Toastmasters program, all right? And we do a lot of unconventional things here, but guess what? We do it because it works. And one of the things that I have loved about this curriculum is the recognition of the hidden energetics of public speaking. How many of you have ever felt nerves when you've been asked to speak? Anybody? Yes, and 20 plus years in, guess what? I still feel it. I feel it every time now when I'm mostly on television sets, when the director is counting down in my ear and saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I feel it. Now, why is that? Well, because takes a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy coming back at us when we are staring out at an audience or staring through a camera, and that energy is there to serve us. So a lot of what this program has helped these women do is to rewire their central nervous systems around public speaking. So to do that, I'm going to ask for all of your help tonight in 2 ways. I'm going to introduce each speaker one by one. We have 6 total. So we're going to have 3 speakers, and then we're going to do a quick little movement exercise together, and then we'll have our remaining 3 speakers. But after I introduce each speaker, I would love for you all to unmute yourselves and to wildly celebrate. I mean, cheer loudly, say their name, cheer them on, because we are celebrating that they are having the courage to stand up and share their message with us. And then after that, I want you to go ahead and put yourselves back on mute. That's very important so we don't disturb their talks. But when they're done, we're going to unmute ourselves and we are going to wildly celebrate her, all right, for what she has done and what she has shared with us. And then I'm going to invite 2 people to share a quick celebration. So what you can do on the Zoom feature is, if you know how to do the raise your hand feature, that will bump you to the top of the Zoom feed, and we will have you unmute and share your quick celebration. We want to keep them quick, but we also want to celebrate. And so when you think about your celebrations, you can say things, answer the question of what resonated with you the most. What did you love about what this woman said or how she said it? What inspired you? What moved you? Okay? So can everybody help me do those two things tonight? All right, awesome. I'm so excited. Well, let's go ahead and kick it off. And you're also welcome to blow up the chat as a woman is talking. If you want, she said something of brilliance that you want to capture, that really resonated with you, that you loved, go ahead and show your love for these women in the comments as well. All right, our first speaker tonight, it brings me so much joy to introduce to you the lovely Andrea Dell. I smile when I think about my own journey with Andrea because I've had the privilege of helping Andrea with her speaking going back to almost 6 years ago. And the way it happened was we were both asked to speak at the 2019 Unstoppable Influence Summit. And while it was Andrea's first speaking gig, she had to go right after me, and she's never let me forget that. And so I decided we would honor her tonight and let her go first. But in all seriousness, one of the things I so appreciate about Andrea, she has been a part of every single speaking program that we've offered through Unstoppable Influence, and she takes the bull by the horns. She is constantly trying to up-level herself and her speaking abilities. And specifically, it's been so fun to see her growth trajectory, especially through this past year's program. She really took the art of speaking spontaneously seriously and brought that into each call that we did, every talk that she gave throughout this program. And I know that we are all going to be blessed by the brilliance that she is going to share with us this evening. So would you please go ahead and unmute yourselves and give a very loud welcome and celebration for Miss Andrea Dell.
Yay!
Andrea!
Yeah, come on.
Awesome.
Yeah. Andrea.
Oh, thank you all so much. I'm so excited to be here and I appreciate you all being here. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about why I think abundance is from God and lack is from the enemy, and how much time you spend in either one determines whether you create your own personal heaven on earth or hell on earth. How many of you are familiar with that feeling of lack, that fearful, crushing, hopeless sense of there's not enough, I'm lacking, there's not enough money, there's not enough time, I'm not pretty enough, so on and so forth? You can just give me a little nod of the head if you can relate to experiencing that, or even put it in the chat. Yeah, a lot of people are familiar with that, unfortunately. And to show you why I believe that abundance is from God and that lack feeling is from the enemy, I want to draw your attention to something that I first heard Dr. Myron Golden point out in a video. He's a Christian businessman and Bible teacher, and he was referencing Genesis chapter 3, where God is talking to Adam about how things work in the Garden of Eden. And he said to Adam, now listen to me closely, because you've heard this story, you may not have heard it like this. He says to Adam about the fruit in the garden, from every tree of the garden, you may freely eat. Let me repeat that for you. From every tree in the garden, you may freely eat. Every tree, freely eat. Every tree, freely eat. Except for one. Stay away from this, the fruit on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but everything else, it's a buffet. Go crazy. Now contrast that to what the serpent says to Eve. After God says this to Adam, we're taken to the scene with the serpent creeping up on Eve and saying to her, now listen to this, did God really say you may not eat fruit from any of the trees? Not eat from any. Not eat from any. That's the literal opposite of what God said. God said, from every tree you may freely eat. The serpent twisted it to say, did God really say you may not have anything? So basically nothing. Hands off all of it. That's not what God said. The serpent convinced Eve. He then proceeded to convince Eve that she was missing out, that God was holding out on her by saying, don't eat from this one tree, even though you can eat from literally everything else, and got her focused on what she lacked. And so out of that energy or that mentality of, I'm missing out on this, I'm lacking this, she and Adam went and ate fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil against God's wishes. And what happened? Well, we know the story. They got removed from the Garden of Eden. But look at what happened below the surface of that. They were focused on what they lacked. They acted based on what they thought they were lacking, and they ended up lacking even more. Afraid of missing out? So you're really missing out. Now you're really missing out on paradise, on being right there with God. Pretty eye-opening to think of it like that, isn't it? Our brains have a mechanism in them that you may have heard of. It's called the reticular activating system. And this system will focus on what you tell it to, even if you are accidentally telling it what to focus on. You've probably experienced what I call the new car phenomenon, where you get a car that's new to you and suddenly you see the thing everywhere, every color of the rainbow, flying through the air, every road, everywhere. There's this car that you just got, and now it's everywhere. And was it there before? Maybe, but now you sure see it because your brain has a reason to notice it now. Before it didn't. Your reticular activating system will focus on what you tell it to, whether or not you mean to. So if you are in a pattern of focusing on lack, on not enough, on never enough, that's all you're going to see. In every situation, it's going to be hard to find the lack. And as Genesis chapter 3 establishes, lack is what the enemy wants us to focus on. Abundance is godly, in my opinion. Abundance looks at what's there and sees the gifts. I'm reminded of this drawing that Natasha made for an Inner Circle member several years ago on one of those big drawing pads with a marker. And she drew this little stick figure walking through the forest. And then she drew these little presents along the path. And that is the effect that abundance can have on your life. Even if things are dark and you're lost in the wilderness, if you will, there are gifts along the way. And with an abundance mentality, you can see the gifts along the way and actually enjoy the journey. But if you're focused on lack, then all you see is what's missing, what you don't have enough of, the ways you're falling short. It's not fun, is it? I know that when I'm in the lack mentality, I have crippling fear, depending on how strong it is. It feels like my chest and tummy are in a vice grip. I'm discouraged, I feel hopeless, and it has led to some pretty dark places sometimes, where with the abundance mentality, I have joy and I have peace, even when times are hard. For example, when my little dog was attacked and killed by another dog, there was still abundance in that, believe it or not, because people sent me so much love. They sent me live, fresh flowers that kind of took up, added life to a space where I was only feeling death. And it really taught me that abundance can be present even in really dark times if we choose to see it. And a lot of times we don't. A lot of times we don't. And why is that? Well, there could be a lot of reasons. The enemy is out to help us see the lack. I also think the world is great at getting us focused on lack. We see what someone's successful business is doing. Not that that's the bad thing that they have a successful business. We see someone thinner, someone prettier, someone younger, someone who has more money, a more attractive partner or whatever, more kids, more compared to us. And we feel inadequate and we get sucked into that lack mentality. It's not fun, and yet it's really easy to do. It also doesn't help that if you do focus on abundance, you're often called a Pollyanna. I personally don't know why it's such a big problem to be a Pollyanna. I think we could use more Pollyannas in the world, especially right now, just my opinion. either way, I do believe abundance is from God. And let me give you a couple of tips to help you start seeing the gifts, start seeing the abundance that is all around you all the time, because your life experience will be better if you're focused on the gifts instead of the lack. So one example, your car. Let's say that your car's older, maybe it has some chips and some dings and some scratches, maybe it doesn't run as smoothly as it used to. You might like a new car at some point here. Okay, well, the lack mentality way to look at that car is it's old, it's a lemon, it doesn't run real great anymore, it has these chips and scratches and they're a little embarrassing because they show that I can be a clumsy driver, blah, 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 right? So that's I feel just kind of icky and discouraged focusing on that. The abundance view of that would be, I have a car that runs. The insurance is lower because it's an older car. I don't have car payments. There's less that can go wrong because it doesn't have all the newfangled computers where any little drop of a pin makes the computer flip out and I have to take it in and get it fixed. And the parts are more expensive because it has all these sophisticated electronics. And so lack, it's a piece of crap. Abundance, it has all these gifts. A lot of people struggle with the abundance mentality because they think of it as settling. Oh, if I'm grateful for what I have, then this is as good as it gets. I can never grow. I can never have more. I can never do more. I can never be more. That is the lack mentality in disguise. That is the lack mentality putting on an abundance cap and thinking that now it's abundance. It's not. It's lack in disguise. Abundance is, I'm grateful for what's here now. I see the abundance that's here now, and I may continue to grow. I may get a new car someday. I may get a bigger house or a newer house. I may take better care of my health. Having an abundance mindset doesn't mean that you have to settle for what the way things are now. It means that you appreciate the gifts in what is now as you grow, so that you're not miserable, so that you're not stuck in the gap between where you are and where you wish you were, which is how you create your own hell on earth. Bottom line here, lack mentality, creating your own hell on earth. Abundance mentality, creating your own heaven on earth. And I invite you to make this shift for yourself and begin to live it starting today, because it really is a different life. Thank you so much.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Nice job.
Yay,
Wonderful.
Good job.
Andrea.
Very good.
Excellent.
So good. All
Great job,
right.
Andrea.
Let's invite a couple celebrations. So again, feel free to raise your hand. If the hand feature is too confusing, you can unmute yourself, but let's go ahead and have two people celebrate Andrea. What did you love about what she said, how she said it, what resonated for you? And I see the chat is blowing up as well.
Hey, Kristen, this is Lisa. Let me turn my
Hi,
camera back on.
I'm sorry, say the what?
I was turning my camera back on.
Okay, great. Go for it.
Andrea, great job. Great delivery. Kept your eye contact focused. The information was relevant. It was timely. It was so important for us to hear. I really don't have anything that I would encourage you to have done different or better. Just nice job. Knocked it out of the park.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it.
All right, I see Janet has her hand up.
I have to say, I appreciated most how you explained the scarcity in disguise wearing the abundance hat. I don't think that's something that people think about very often, and that was pretty profound for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Andrea, so much to celebrate here. And one of the things I want to point out is this is a story that I have known for many, many years, the story of Genesis 3. But no one had ever spelled that out with that word, the emphasis on the words that you used of every tree freely eat, versus not eat from any. And I thought that was such a powerful way to set up the whole construct of your talk. And of course, one of the things I've always celebrated about you is your ability to bring humor to even difficult subjects with your vocal inflections and how you know, when you pretend like you're saying those negative thoughts and how you did that. Just job well done. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing this important word with us tonight. Let's give her another round of applause, shall we?
Way to
Yes.
go.
Awesome
Nice
job,
job.
Andrea. Thank you.
Way to kick us off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, make sure you go back and check the chat out. Everyone's blowing it up for you too. All right, next up on our list, I have the pleasure of introducing the lovely Barbara Suder. Now, I can't remember exactly when Barbara and I first met. I believe it was the very first speaker challenge that we offered through Unstoppable Influence in terms of a speaker coaching capacity, right? So that was almost 4 years ago, hard to believe. And you've been a part of every speaking program since. Barbara is someone who just brings such a breath of fresh air to all of our calls, to all of our coaching sessions from a speaking, the opportunities I've had to coach her with speaking. And one of the things that we've always said as a group when we've celebrated her is her ability to bring stories and analogies to life, as well as throw in that humor. So Barbara, I know we're all excited to hear your message tonight, and let's go ahead and celebrate her, and then we'll let her take it away.
Woohoo.
Yay.
Go,
Let's go.
Barbara.
Can't wait to hear it.
All right,
Love you,
Barbara.
Barbara.
Excited to hear you, Barbara.
Hey, thank you. We love pets. Those of us that have pets, those of us that can't have pets because our landlord is strange. And I want pets to have a good life. And when we can give our pets what they need and have a good life, then we feel good also. I worked with a dog, Freya, who barked every time her mom left. Her mom had started working away from home, and so anxiety or whatever, it was just constant. So she asked me to work with her, and I took out several emotions. One was shock. Another was taken for granted. And she had a couple of emotions that she had actually absorbed from other family members, which can happen. And so I was able to take all of those out. I also, before I even start, I pray over the animal. I tell them that they're loved. And everyone whose animal I've worked with has said that they are so relaxed when I'm working on them. So that's always wonderful to hear. So apparently the day after I worked on her, she barked less and was able to be distracted more so that it wasn't such a constant. So that was great for the family. I worked with a cat who had started nibbling on plastic bags. Not a good thing. And she was a new pet for my friend who was really excited about having a cat because she'd had one before and she knew what a wonderful companion that could be. And this cat wasn't having it. It was back off. So I was there at the house for this one. And I took out abandonment from the previous owner who dumped her off. And then like anxiety and frustration of kind of like not knowing what to expect and a new person and all of that. So as I'm leaving, I have my back to the door and I'm facing the cat and my friend's going, and she doesn't come to her name. And I said, well, she knows what you mean when you say Lucy. You love Lucille Ball. She's a crackpot. She does pratfalls. She's hilarious. That's not your cat. She's a bit more regal. And as I was looking at the cat, this
a name popped in my head and I said, Princess. And the cat goes, and I said, try Princess Lucy or Princess, and I bet that will make a difference. And I believe that's what she did. So this process that I use is called the emotion code. And I have a way of connecting with the animals to find out what emotions that may have gotten trapped from usually from previous traumas that the owners may not know anything about. And so by releasing these emotions, it can often help with behavioral issues or with the pet's discomfort. I worked with a horse named Dee, and I went to visit her. And she'd had to move from one stable to another stable. And then she was fighting with the horse that was in the next pasture. So our owner was very disturbed about that and about some other things that were going on with her. So again, I had prayed actually on my way there to just kind of be ready and hopefully that Dee would be ready. And so I started working on her, and the first thing was shock. She had seen a horse die at her other stable. And so that had wounded her deeply. And so I was able to take that away so that energy wasn't affecting her. She picked up a couple of emotions from her owner of indecision and overwhelm. And that was about moving her from one place and all that was involved in that, and then getting her set up in another place. So I was able to clear that too. And I think I cleared a couple of other things, and then I got the message from the horse that was all she could deal with right now. And I actually did work with her a couple other times to finish with what she needed. Her owner said, she's relaxed. This is not the time of day for her to be relaxed. This is out of character, but she is obviously feeling good. And then she came over to munch on her feed, which wasn't the time of day for her, but she wanted to meet me, so I'm petting her and all. And her owner said that she quit fighting with the horse next door. So that was good. Another story is an older cat named Dawn who had breast cancer, and she'd been very sick, and she was going to get put down on a Monday, and her owner called me on a Friday and said, is there any way you can help her so she can have an easier weekend before she goes, that she can enjoy life a bit? And I said, I'd love to see what I can do. And so I was able to take out sadness of leaving her owner, of leaving her sister cat, and clear that. She had a feeling of lack of control over this disease that had taken over her body. And I cleared that. And then there was some humiliation that had happened at the vet with the vet tech, and was able to clear that. So that's all I did. And then her owner contacted me on Tuesday and said she's over the Rainbow Bridge. She had a wonderful weekend. She was out on Saturday just basking in the sun and just taking it all in. And then she was cuddling with her sister and having time and taking time with the other animals. The owner had a lot of other animals, and checking in with them. And so she died much, much more peacefully. And of course, the whole household was much more at ease because of that happening. Another animal was Desi, who had lost his sister, Lucy, and was very morose and wasn't himself. And my friend said, "Is there anything you can do for him?" And so I cleared out grief and sadness. And there may have been another one. And again, had prayed and told him he was loved. He was loved, even though Lucy had left, he was still loved. And the next day, he was much better. So I love helping animals feel better. I love the interaction with them, whether I'm with them in person or at a distance. I've worked with other horses that were in Spokane, dogs, cats. It doesn't matter distance, just like with prayer, doesn't matter with distance. It's the same kind of thing with doing this work. If I have a picture and the name, I can work with the animal and having permission from the owner. So pets can have such a better life at times if trapped emotions are causing problems. And it's, for me, not difficult to take care of this. And if pets have a good life, their owners are going to have a better life, because we know how much joy they bring and what they can give to us when they're feeling good. And so I see this as a little part to making the world better, make our animals better, so the owners feel better. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Good job. Good job, Barbara.
Good job.
Really
Way to
great.
go.
Really great.
Good job.
Love the
Great
story.
animal stories.
Yes.
Awesome.
We
All
love
right.
our
I
babies.
think Christy's hand shot straight up. So again, we're going to invite some celebrations for what you loved. What did you learn? What resonated with you? So Christy, go for it.
You guys should have known that my hand would shoot up on this one. So this was great, Barbara. I love your compassion for animals. I love your calming spirit as you talk about it. You are absolutely spot on with how our emotions transfer to our animals. So the work that you are doing is just so good. It just makes me cry. It's so needed and so good. You said in it that I think you sold yourself short in one area, because you talked about your love for helping animals. But what you're really doing is helping families, because you're helping the animal, and that transfers back to the owner, the human, as we call them, instead of humans, but human. And so it just makes for a happier family. And most of you know my story of transferring my emotions to one of my dogs during a transition. And had I known something like this, it would have been so helpful to me at the time. So I appreciate what you're doing. It was a wonderful talk. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Christy. Anybody else like to celebrate Barbara? Maybe something you learned that was new that you didn't realize before as a result of her talk? Oh, two people raised hand. Okay, Andrea, go for it.
I learned that how much emotion coding can help animals. I'm familiar with it with people. I've done it, and I knew it could help animals, but the real life examples of the actual ways that it has helped animals was really fascinating and insightful. So I appreciate knowing all that, Barbara.
Thank you.
Barbara, I just want to celebrate your courage in sharing this important subject that I know probably, a couple years ago, I never knew anything about this. And I really appreciate your passion and your compassion and your dedication to educating more people about it. And as you were talking, it just made me think, I need to book some sessions with Barbara for the pets in our family. And so I know that you do not yet have a website, but I'm going to put your email in the chat so that if other people have questions or they want to connect with you and learn more, that they'll be able to do that. So let me go ahead and just pop that in there so you all have her email. But job well done, friend. And thank you so much for sharing your heart and your stories with us this evening. Let's give her another round of applause, shall we?
Woohoo!
Good
Nice
job.
job.
Barbara. Nice job.
Great job, Barbara.
Awesome. All right. Next up, we have the amazing Heather Romanski. So excited to introduce this woman to you. Heather is another individual who I had the privilege of first meeting almost 4 years ago during the very first Unstoppable Speaker Challenge. One of the things I remember about Heather was there was a specific issue with her speaking that she really wanted to focus on. And fast forward all these years later, she not only focused on it, she conquered that, and she has continued to up-level herself in every speaking opportunity that's been given her way, not just within coaching programs, but we're talking taking what she has learned and implementing it, whether she's standing up and speaking in front of a school board meeting, whether she is at a fundraising event, you name it. I always appreciate, she has always been so great at messaging me and saying, I just gave a talk and this is how it went and this is what happened. So Heather, I just really want to celebrate you tonight and everything that you have learned, everything you've implemented. And I know that we are going to be really blessed by the message you're going to share with us now. So let's go ahead and unmute and give her a wild round of applause.
Yay, Heather! Excited to hear
Hear this.
you.
Nice job.
I remember that day 9 years ago like it was yesterday. When I got that text from my friend that said, check your email, there's been a terrible tragedy. I grabbed my phone, I went to my computer, and I started searching through email accounts until I found the one she wanted me to see. When I read those lines, it was like I had been punched in the stomach. I couldn't breathe. The room went black. It started to spin. I was completely overwhelmed with shock. The email said, earlier today, Beth's husband and daughter were in an accident, and Grace was killed. 9 years later, it's just like yesterday. Grace just wasn't the daughter of our friend and our neighbor. She was our daughter's, our 16-year-old babysitter. And she was a literal ray of sunshine. She was pure light. She drove a Jeep Wrangler, and the minute it was warm enough, those doors came off, that top went down, and every time she drove by our house, whether we were in the yard or not, she was tooting and waving. She had the most beautiful long brown hair, and it would be flying in the wind. And that smile, it kept you warm inside long after she had driven by. And now she was gone, on the way home from a college visit. Gone. At the time, our girls were little. They were just 7 and 10, and they had never lost anyone so close to them. So our first challenge was having to tell them that their Grace was gone. We spent those next few days, probably more like weeks, sad for our friends, trying to figure out how we could help them, trying to help our own girls grieve, grieving ourselves. We just couldn't imagine how our friends, Grace's dad still recovering from his own really serious injuries, how they were going to face life without one of their daughters. We were already really managing a lot in our lives. The girls were little. We were working a lot, especially my husband is long, long days. And there was dance class and soccer and basketball and birthday parties. And let's not forget dishes and laundry and cleaning. Okay, we maybe want to forget the last three. But we were tired all the time. We were saying yes to everything. We were really not enjoying much of it. Sound familiar? People tell you, and they mean it so genuinely, but they say, oh, it's just a season. Oh, it won't be like this forever. Oh, this too shall pass. And I really wanted to say, maybe like a kidney stone. But one day, with all these thoughts swirling around in my head, I had this realization that we had to make a change for our family. And I looked at my husband one night and I said, we have to start doing the things. And he kind of peeled back the corner of the newspaper and said, I don't understand. And I said, we say we should take the kids to DC. We should go to Disney on Ice. We should take the kids to a game at Fenway Park. Okay, honestly, I'm never lobbying to go to Fenway Park. I am lobbying for Yankee Stadium. But we were really, really good at making that list, but we never followed through, or rarely followed through. And I said to him, we think we have all this time. And even if something tragic doesn't happen to our family, the kids are going to grow up. They might move away. They're definitely going to get busy with their own lives. And before we know it, we are going to run out of time. I looked at him and I said, Beth and Paul, Grace's parents, they thought they had all this time until they didn't. So we made a change. We made a conscious decision to stop saying yes to everything. We started to buy the tickets. We'd been talking about going on a trip with our friends to New Hampshire forever. I mean, literally, we talked about it for years. We never did it. So we picked a weekend and we drove and we got adjoining hotel rooms. You know, the ones where all that happens is the kids run back and forth from room to room to room, and you pray the people next to you don't call the front desk. We skated outdoors on the outdoor rink at Strawberry Bank. We sipped hot chocolate at the little rink side cafe, where for the adults, they'll, for a little extra fee, put some Baileys or Kahlua in your hot chocolate. You should definitely do that when it's freezing cold. And I will tell you, the highlight of that trip for me was when we sent the dads to the pizzeria on the corner and we camped out in the hotel lobby in front of the fireplace in our pajamas, drinking sparkling grape juice, eating our pizza, playing a dice game, watching the kids try to outwit each other to see who could end up with more quarters. We thoughtfully considered how we were going to spend our time and what we were going to make a priority. We realized we didn't need to go to every classmate's birthday party that sucked up hours of our weekend. We said no to invitations that were going to keep us out too late. We said no to things that made us overscheduled or overstimulated the kids and maybe some adults. It made us unpopular with some people, but we kept our eye on the prize, strengthening our core four: Heather, Paul, Brooke, Kristen. Our marriage benefited. We became more connected as a couple, and we were more focused on what was important to us and not what was important to our extended family and our friends. We saw a difference in our kids. They started to prioritize what was important to them and what brought them happiness, and they made better choices. Not only were we not worse for the wear for doing the things that we said no to, you might even say we flourished. We laughed more. We were less stressed. We got more sleep. Amen. We found simple joy in an afternoon by our pool or doing a puzzle at the dining room table. Our life was so sweet. So you might be wondering a little bit about the title of my talk, The Unexpected Gift I Was Given. Because how is the tragic death of a beautiful 16-year-old girl a gift? I will not disagree with you. Grace's death was devastating. And even today, 9 years later, when I talk about her, tears fill my eyes. But her loss was the catalyst that brought so many changes in my marriage, in our core four, in the way I carry myself personally and professionally. It has led to this amazing life that I get to call mine. So I'm challenging you tonight, right now, to take a little audit on your life. Are you making time? And are you prioritizing what's important to you? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? What fills your cup? And if you aren't, maybe it's time. Because tomorrow is not promised. There is no guarantee. So give yourself that gift and unwrap it while you still can.
Wow.
Amazing.
That was
Really
so
amazing.
good.
Such a good job.
Woo. Wow, wow, wow.
Very powerful. Yes.
That
Powerful.
was
Yay,
amazing.
Heather.
So good. So well done.
I need a moment.
Yeah.
Heather, thank you. I would invite a couple people to offer some celebrations. What did you love about what Heather shared, how she shared it?
I'll go.
Okay, go for it.
I just thought it was so, oh my gosh, it was so powerful. The thing that I just loved about it was you're an exceptional storyteller, but the way that you describe things, it's so vivid. And you had me crying and then laughing, and it was like important in a subject that is so serious, to be able to break it up with thoughtful humor. And it just had amazing takeaways. And it was just confirmation of what the Lord already placed on my heart and something that I've been focusing on this season. So it was just so great, just all around. Well done, girl.
Thank you.
So thank you, Natasha. Trisha, I see your hand up.
I don't know.
Well,
Oh, it's both of us.
oh,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. I see Trisha Speeds, and then Trisha, if you want to share as well, feel free. But Trisha Speeds, go ahead.
okay. Well, Heather, you really spoke to me tonight for the reason I lost a really dear, sweet lady this last week. And I added with that, this year I turned 70. And I think it has just hit me that life is short. And I have things that have popped up, and I think, oh, I may not have the money. And shoot, I'm doing it. Go here, go there. And so I just thank you so much for just confirming for me that just do it. If it, live your life to the fullest, still give of yourself to others, but take care of you and live life to the fullest and make memories for your family. Thank you so much for that, Heather. That was wonderful.
Thanks, Trisha.
Awesome. Now, Trisha Joy Johnson, I didn't want to cut you off. Would you like to share as well?
Yes, thank you so much, Heather. That was fabulous. I too lost my sister, niece, and nephew on a Tuesday afternoon driving home from work. And that at the moment, I hope it strikes all the parents, all the grandparents. These kids grow up so fast, don't miss a minute, because that work project, it'll be there later. You can clean the house later, you can do the laundry later, but don't miss those moments with the people that you love, for your benefit and for theirs as well. Wonderful, wonderful talk.
Thank you so much, Trisha.
Heather, friend, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for so many reasons, but I think the thing that I really want to focus on celebrating tonight is how you took us on a journey with that message in that talk, and how you were able to hold space and hold the appropriate emotion to match what you were talking about, and yet still, as Natasha said, weave in the humor and weave in powerful takeaways that, I mean, you have given all of us a gift tonight. And I love the title of your talk for that reason, the unexpected gift that you were given. And in turn, you've given all of us a great gift. So I just want to say thank you for being such a powerful steward of this story and this gift, and how you've put it together in this powerful message to inspire all of us. So job well done. Let's celebrate her again, shall we?
Thank you.
Way to go.
Way to go. Way to go, girl.
Good job, Heather. So proud
Amazing
of you.
job.
Great job.
All right. Uh-oh.
All right. So we've heard 3 talks. Are you all having fun so far? Are you enjoying this? Yes.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to take a quick movement break, if you will. And I was trying to figure out, because we have lots of different practices that the women who I've had the privilege of coaching are familiar with, but I wanted to provide one that would be something that all of you could utilize no matter what you do in life. All right. Does that sound good? So we're going to get a little bit of blood flowing here. If you're able to stand up, that's great. If you're not, that's totally fine. You can do this from a seated position as well. As I mentioned, we focus a lot on the hidden energy of public speaking. And when that energy happens, it needs a constructive place to go. So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to imagine right now that where you're seated, or if you're standing up, that you are growing a tail. Now, this can be any kind of tail that you want it to be. When I think of a tail, I think of a giant, flowy, fluffy cattail. Now, if the tail imagery doesn't really work for you, imagine maybe that you're wearing a gown with a long train. Okay? But before you do that, I just want you to notice your body position right now. How do you feel? How are you sitting? What are your shoulders doing? And how are you breathing? Okay, so just take a minute and sense that. And now I want you to put that tail on, or imagine you have it. Imagine it extending from the base of your tailbone, draped maybe down your chair, onto the floor, or that gown. And if you want and you're able to, feel free to stand up and imagine walking around with that sensation of the tail or the train behind you. How do you feel now? How are you standing? How are you sitting? What are your shoulders doing? How are you holding your head? And how are you breathing? The thing about this energy that we feel is that it's there to serve us. It's there to help us meet the energy that's going to be coming back at us from any audience we're presenting to. But it needs an outlet. And so giving it this constructive outlet of this imagery of something extending from you that can ground you can really be helpful. I use this a lot when I'm presenting on Zoom calls. I use this a lot when I'm sitting in my chair at the television studio and I see that timer going and I know it's about time to go live. The great thing about the tail is it's completely invisible and it can be flopping around all over the place. It can be, jittering and doing all the crazy stuff so that I can remain calm and centered and grounded. So I hope that little takeaway serves you all in whatever capacity you may need it. Whenever you start to feel those butterflies, whenever you start to feel that onslaught, that intensity of energy, know that it's there to serve you. And you now have a constructive way to handle it which is completely invisible. That's how I came up with constructible. It's an invisible way for you to constructively utilize that energy to your advantage and to ground you. And side note, you all know I like a good tiara. I like feeling like the queen. When I feel like I have that train emanating from me, guess what? I then get to be the queen of my message. And a queen is for her people. And that's what this is all about, because our messages, your message is not about you. It matters because it's not about you and somebody else needs to hear it. So I encourage you to embody that queen energy with whatever message you have to share in whatever capacity that might play out in your life. All right, well, we want to keep it moving. We're doing well here. We've got 3 more incredible speakers. My next speaker that I have the privilege of introducing you to is the lovely Jaecksch. And I think it's very fitting that the title of Janet's story is Take a Leap, because this woman, that is exactly what she did. A year ago, I had not yet met Janet, and she signed up for this program, which was actually the 2nd level of our Speak and Shine program. And I remember her first Facebook Live that she did within our group. And she said, I'm really nervous to be here, but I'm going to do it. I'm here. And I was like, yes, girl, yes, that is what this is for. And I am so proud of you, Janet, because you have jumped in head first. Go on. It feels like we've known each other a lot longer than just a year. It feels like you've been a part of this Unstoppable speaker community for as long as it's been around, because of how you have embraced the challenge and you've taken a leap. And I am so excited to hear the message that's been placed on your heart. So would you all please join me and give a very warm round of applause for the lovely Janet Jaecksch.
Yay,
Janet!
Janet! I'm excited to hear you. Yay!
Thank you very much. This Take a Leap, I have to admit, is as much for me as for someone else out there. I actually found out this morning that there could be an intervention coming if I don't start moving on something. But let me share this first. I would like to know if you've ever seen a kid at a pool. Their knees are bent. Their feet are curled around the edge. Their arms are kind of flailing. And they've got about 57 questions. Is it cold? Will you catch me? Are there sharks in there? And there's the parent in the water, arms outstretched. Just jump. I've got you. Well, I've come to realize we're quite like that with God. We are at the edge of something really incredible, and we hesitate. We analyze. We wait for the perfect time. We want clarity, certainty, and confidence. Unfortunately, confidence doesn't come before the leap. It comes during the leap. So I'd like to talk about, first of all, why do we resist taking the leap? What's on the other side of the leap, and how to take that leap with confidence and faith. Now, honestly, I have stood at many edges. I've had plenty of leaps, some that were beautiful and some that were incredibly messy. When I got diagnosed with celiac, I did not want to take the leap of creating a new lifestyle. I wanted to believe that just a little gluten was going to be okay. My body disagreed, and let's just say it wasn't subtle. Then I went through breast cancer. I had amazing doctors, and they did everything that they knew to do to get me through treatment, including the ridiculous complications that happened that apparently no one had ever seen before. I was so blessed. I had family and I had a few good friends that just loved on me, were there for me, encouraged me. So I was truly supported. However, there was a huge leap I still had to take. I had to learn how to advocate for my whole health. I had to learn how to change my mindset. I also had to learn how to trust God in a way that I have never had to before. So then there was creating my own business. Wow, did I let that take forever? I kept feeling like I need another certification, maybe a few more credentials. Just need to prove that I am ready. Told myself all the time, I just need a little more time. I need to be 100% sure. It needs to be perfect. Well, guess what? Waiting till it's all perfect means I would be waiting forever. Now, there is actually a reason that we hesitate taking the leap. Those who know me know I love to mix my science with my faith. In our brain, we have an amygdala. That is our warning system. That is what keeps us safe. When there is something new that comes and it's a little uncomfortable, guess what happens? That amygdala is like, stop, go back, be safe. Of course, we don't want to take a new leap. It's not comfortable, and our brain is telling us it's not safe. Lucky for us, we do also know that our brain has neuroplasticity. Wow, is that a word to say while you're doing this? What that means is it can be rewired. And when we take action and leaps, it rewires our brain and it increases our resilience and it builds it up and it helps us to have less fear. Confidence does not come before the action. It comes because of it. Now, faith is the same way. You knew I was going there. Pardon me. When the Israelites were heading and escaping Egypt, and they get to the Red Sea, they did not find it fully parted for them to cross. No, it took a leap of faith. Moses had to raise his hand, and the Israelites had to move in order for the Red Sea to be parted. Then we take a look at the widow and her miracle with the oil. That oil did not multiply before she poured it into the other vessels. The miracle happened as she took the action of pouring it. Then, of course, we have Peter. When he was watching Jesus on the water, he did not get a map and a certification that says, you are now able to walk on water. No, he got one word, come. And you know what? Even when he faltered, Jesus told him, don't look down, look at me. Leaps affect everything. They can help us move mentally from overthinking into clarity. I don't know about you. My brain loves to spin. I can always use just a little more time. However, when I need a few days to think turns into I need a year and a half, I think there's a problem. Now, yes, my brain is spinning. What I have learned is once you take action, the brain stops spinning and it leans towards strategy. That spinning brain and that overthinking is simply a pattern that needs to be broken. We can also move from self-doubt to connection. I know this is something we talk about in Unstoppable Influence a lot. Woo. And we know through science that vulnerability increases connection. Guess what our amygdala says? Danger, danger. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge to take down those walls, meet new people, and even ask for help when you need it. I'll raise my hand on that one. It has taken me a long time to learn that asking for help is not a weakness, it's a strength. Now, we also know that our bodies, also everything manifests in our physical body. So a lot of times we need to move from being stuck into strength. When we ignore those leaps, we can feel sluggish and drained. However, when we take action, we're telling our brain we are moving forward and we get energy and we get action. So that leap may be as simple as getting in more water that you need. Maybe taking several deep, calming breaths when you're in the middle of something stressful. Action makes our brain continue to move us forward. Spiritually, we need to move from control to trust. Problem is, we want a detailed plan. I know I keep looking for mine. However, God tends to just give us the next little step. You need to ask, are you looking for clarity or are you looking for control? If you've been praying for change, maybe you need to be like the widow and take that first step, and your miracle will come amidst those steps. Okay, I know what you're thinking. All right, leaps are great. I do not want to face plant when I do this. So let's think of some ways. First thing you could do, seek God, ask him. Now, don't be looking for some beautiful skywriting, because that is not going to happen. He tends to speak in small words, small steps, in the stillness, and even through scripture. Maybe you need to redefine what is enough clarity for you to move forward. And you know what? You just might have to move before you're ready. A lot of times that confidence is not going to come before the action. It comes afterward. You know what? There's a lot of people who weren't ready. Moses wasn't ready. Neither was David or Esther or Paul. You're in good company. The beautiful part of that, though, is God is on the other side. I'd like you to think, what is your next leap? Maybe you need to say yes to something that God has been prompting you to do. Maybe you need to start believing that you are capable, no matter what all the other little voices say, because he says you are. Maybe you need to step into the health, the healing, or the calling that you were created for. Moving a leap does not mean you lose yourself. You actually find yourself in him. So, breathe, take a step, then take that leap.
Janet, that was
So
amazing.
good.
Oh my God.
Amazing,
So
amazing.
good.
Oh,
So
thank
good.
you.
Yes.
Oh,
Great job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited to celebrate that. All right, who would like to go first? What did you love about what Janet said, how she said it? What are your takeaways? Time to celebrate. Who would like to share? Go for it. Oh, I thought someone was asking if they could share. If they could go. All right. So, go ahead. Oh. Oh yeah, go ahead, Barbara, and then Natasha. I know you want to share, right? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Barbara.
I loved how you interwove science with faith. That was so good, because I have so much science and I'm into faith and scripture. And I loved how that came together, and the humor that you kind of put in there also was great. I took notes. I want you to know, I took notes. So
Yeah.
that's how good that I felt your talk was.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just felt like it was such a timely talk. I just loved it. And, again, I love the science and the faith. I mean, that's, I think it's so, I think it's relatable. And I think it's relatable. And I think there's just tangible action, just things that people could take away from it, which is really good. And just empowered people. And yeah, people are talking about taking notes, and that's why it was actionable. So well done, girl.
Thank you very much.
Janet, I specifically want to celebrate your delivery of that message. We all know, and you, if you've worked with me, you've heard me say this, it is infinitely harder to deliver a shorter talk than a longer form talk. It just is. you jam-packed that with such valuable information, like everyone has already said, but I want to celebrate the joy that you brought to your delivery. Just your demeanor and the joy and how relatable you made this, and then just the wealth of examples. I mean, you took us through so many different aspects of characters in the Bible and made us feel like we were in good company. And it was just so well done, so well delivered. So let's give her together a huge round of applause. Great job.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Woo.
Absolutely
Janet,
excellent.
so proud of you.
Great job.
So fabulous.
Awesome. All right. Next up, we have the incredible Joyce Willis. Y'all, when I think about what it means to be an unstoppable woman and an unstoppable speaker, Joyce is definitely someone who is at the top of that list in my mind. I first had the privilege of meeting Joyce 2 years ago. She joined Speak and Shine Level 1 and then jumped into Speak and Shine Level 2. And just to see her growth, her commitment to her craft in terms of continuing to up-level her speaking ability, knowing that her message needs to be shared and then actually doing it has just been such a joy to see that journey. She has been asked to speak at her church a few times, right, Joyce, throughout the program. And it was such a joy to help her get ready for that talk. And I just know that she is going to really bless us tonight with her message as well. So let's give Joyce a huge round of applause.
Yeehaw! Good job, Joyce. Excited to hear you.
Joyce, can't wait to hear your message.
You've got this.
Thank you. Welcome. I am excited that you are here today, that you have chosen to spend this day being still and learning some of the difficulties and the benefits of being still. Psalm 46:10 is a familiar passage to most, if not all of us. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. And yet it's also a passage that is often divided. We hear the words, be still. I know for myself, I hear the words be still and I get the wiggles. There's no way. And then there's the other part. And know that I am God. Sometimes that brings a question. No, God? How would I do that? To be still is not just a physical, it's also with our thoughts. How many times during our day that everything just begins to swirl. And we begin to think about this list of things that we want to do. And yet in our adult world, we get two conflicting messages. How many times you as a parent, or maybe you've heard someone else recently, look at that 3-year-old child and go, be still. And yet, as an adult, we just feel like we've got to fill our days with something to do and do and do. Because when we're not doing, the world feels like we're being lazy. As I was mentioning about the anxiety and the conflicts that go through our heads. As a parent, and if we're a parent to small children, that's all we want to do is to understand what they're needing. Or maybe you're a parent of an older child and you find yourself going from here to yon. And then when you get to yon, you end up being a spectator. But as you sit there watching their sport, your mind is just going through that list of what has not been done. And yet you feel like it's got to be done in order to feel like your day has been successful. Margaret Beck wrote a book titled The Joy Diet, 10 Practices for a Happier Life. Her number one practice is that you need to spend 15 minutes a day doing nothing, being still. When I first read that, I went, 15 minutes? I'm just getting where I can do 5. This is one of the things that she wrote, that the best way to break through any barrier is to access a point of perfect stillness at the center of your being. Every ancient tradition holds that from this still core of the self springs all that is authentic about you, your identity, your ability to recognize truth, the healing, the real operating instructions for your life. By being still, it allows you to handle anything. I would like to share with you 2 more scriptures. Jeremiah 33, verse 3. God says, "Call to me, and I will tell you things you do not know." Isaiah 45, verse 3. God says, "I will give you treasures that have been hidden, and you will know that I am Lord, that I am the one that calls you by your name." My goal for today is to help you to discover what some of that anxiety and difficulties might be for you to be able to sit still. Just much like with Elijah, when he was looking for God in the midst of the storms, and then he found him in the quietness. My hope is that you begin to see the benefits of being still, the benefit of being still and hearing God and finding the treasures, as we have read in Psalm 46, Jeremiah 33, and Isaiah 45. So that when you become still and you call out to God, you begin to know who he is. And as an extension in your quiet time, you begin to open your Bible and you begin to discover some of the attributes of God. Attributes such like that he's a way maker, that we read in Jeremiah 29, that he is a promise keeper, as we read in Psalm 23, verse 4, that he will walk with us through the dark valleys. Or maybe you might discover that he's a peacemaker, as we read in Philippians chapter 4. It is time for us to be still so that we can begin to counter what the world tells us about the fact that we have to do and do and do in order to be successful. Is by being still, then we can handle and do anything. So you may be asking yourself some questions. How do I be still? How do I call out to God? How can I know him and receive these treasures? So our day will be divided into 4 parts. Each part will have a teaching, and then there will be a question for you to answer. I hope you brought your journals. If you didn't, that's okay. There are plenty of index cards on the table for you to use. In part 1, we will talk about the difficulties, the disconnects that may be causing anxiety and you not being able to be still. Then in part 2, we will talk about the benefits of being still. Then in part 3, we will look at some resources that my team and I have pulled together that we have used as we've learned the discipline of being still, and as an extension, personal Bible study. Then with part 4, after you have answered the question in part 1 and part 2, looked at resources in part 3, then it's time for you to create your plan of being still and personal Bible study. We will then end the day being still, having worship, and a time of commitment. Are you ready? Do you still have some wiggles? We're going to take a break, meet someone that you do not know, and then as you stand in line for your turn in the bathroom, ask yourself this question: what do I want to learn today by being still and getting to know God. Let's take a break.
Good job, Joyce.
So good, Joyce. Thank
That was
you.
so
That was
good.
great.
Really good,
So
Joyce.
much to
So
celebrate
proud
with
of
that.
you.
Thank
Very
you.
proud of
So good.
you.
Yes. All right. Let's have some celebrations for Joyce. What did you love? And just for if in case you aren't aware, Joyce is actually going to be doing a full day workshop on this topic. So she chose to use tonight as an opportunity to give her introduction. I know I want to sign up for the workshop. Anybody else?
I want to sign up for the
Let's
workshop.
go.
Right? So let's hear a couple celebrations for Joyce.
Can I go, Kristen?
Yes, go for it.
So I had the pleasure of doing Speak and Shine level 1 and level 2 with Joyce. And I wish we have to do this next time. We have to record ourselves at the very beginning of the project, because Joyce has grown so incredibly, like she has had such tremendous growth. I always know when she speaks that I'm going to learn something. And the confidence she has today, it's unbelievable where you started and where you are now. And to think that I mean, you've already done these talks and now you've elevated yourself to a whole day. I'm just so incredibly proud to be your friend. Um, I love it because I get these little messages like, oh, guess what I did today? And I'll be like, holy bananas, that's amazing. So I love the connection, and I love that everybody here got to see that tonight. Also, I love that when you're waiting in line for the bathroom, what are you gonna learn today? Like, might as well get yourself prepared for the rest of the day. Great job. I'm so glad I was here to see you.
Thank you, Heather.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather. Who else has a celebration for Joyce?
I'll go again.
Go for it.
I just Joyce, I like the structure of what you said, because it left me like, now I'm like, how are we going to get this thing to be virtual? Like, and that's what you want at the beginning in an intro. You're getting people excited, prepared for what you've got coming, and what you had. It was just, it made me like so excited for the rest. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm not going to this thing. And so I'm like, how am I going to do that? But so I thought that was just very well crafted, just from a strategic standpoint.
Awesome. Thank you, Natasha. I agree. Joyce, one other thing I want to celebrate and highlight is the physicality that you brought to your delivery and to this message. Number one, that's already really hard for anyone to do via Zoom. And number two, I know that's something you and I have talked through a lot. And to see you just go for it, and it worked, and you were engaging, and it just enhanced your message, your use of your hands, your use of the wiggles. I mean, all of it. You had us. And that is part of our job as speakers, is to connect with the audience in all the different ways that we possibly can. And I feel like you achieved that in such great measure tonight, not just with what you said, but how you said it, and specifically with your physicality. I could not be more proud of you. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that. And let's give her another huge round of applause, shall we?
Great
Job well done, my friend. So proud of you.
Oh, well done. Awesome.
All right, y'all. Well, last but certainly not least, I have the privilege of introducing our sixth and final speaker to be participating in graduation tonight, and that is the lovely May Simpson. Now, to know May is to love her. That's the bottom line. She is a force to be reckoned with, and I just so appreciate, May, your willingness to be vulnerable, that no matter what life throws your way, you are always willing to show up. You're always willing to participate, and always willing to be the Lord's vessel and share what message he places on your heart to share. And I could not think of a more perfect way to end our evening. The title of May's talk is Unshakable Faith, Building a Life Worth Living and Fighting For. And I know we're going to be so blessed to hear this message tonight. So would you please join me in giving a large and loud round of applause for the one and only May Simpson.
Yay! Good to hear you,
Can't wait for
May.
this.
Yay.
Thank you, ladies. I'm excited to be here. So it was 1995, 30 years ago. I can't believe it. It was 30 years ago. Beautiful sunshiny day outside. My two boys were 7 and 9 at the time, and they come and said, we just bought them a Welch pony. I don't know if you know what a Welch horse is, but it's between a quarter horse and a pony. And so they come in, they said, Mom, will you let us ride Trigger? His name was Trigger. And so being the good mother I said, yes. Joe was on the lawnmower mowing. I go out and I get Trigger out of the barn. I bring him out. All I put on him was his harness around the, his head piece and a rope. I was going to ride him bareback. Well, I jumped on him bareback. No sooner than I jumped on him, I was flat on the ground. I mean, it threw me so fast, I couldn't even think. I was on the ground and I was like, I was embarrassed. I actually was embarrassed with my kids. I was like, this big bad mama was going to be a bad mama, and she wound up on the ground. And I stood up, shook myself for a second. Well, here comes Joe with a lawnmower. He comes over and he said, are you okay? I said, yes, I'm fine, but I'm embarrassed. My feelings was hurt. And he said, get back on him. And I said, I am not getting back on him. He said, yes, you are. You're going to get on them because you're going to show the kids that that's what we do. When we get bucked off, we get back on, because guess what? If you don't get back on, it's going to happen again. And that horse has won. I got back on him, and I wanted you to know, because the authority figure was there, and all Joe did was scolded the horse. He didn't whip him. He didn't do anything. He just scolded him and said, no, you don't do that. And I got back on him. I was holding a little tighter this time to his mane. Of course, he was bareback. And he threw the rope around it. He said, now ride him. And I'm going to be honest, I was afraid he was going to do it again. But I knew that I couldn't let my fear show, or he would do it again. So I went on around and I tried it, and I became the big bad mama again. I was like, oh yeah, I got this. But my boys were like, we're not getting on him. And I said, yes, you are. You know why? Because the authority figure was there. Joe was standing there, and they knew that as long as he was there, he wasn't going to buck them. Well, he didn't. They got on, they rode. It wound up being a beautiful day after all, even though it started out very rocky and very embarrassing. The lesson I want you to learn to hear today is building a life worth fighting for, even when you're thrown in life. I've lost 6 siblings. I have gone through a divorce, and you talk about being thrown from a horse. That threw me. I have, went through several miscarriages, and just a brief thing about that. When I was sitting in the doctor's office and the doctor looked at me, my babies would get 3 months along and the heartbeats would just stop. And the doctor looked at me and said, May, stop. You get 3 months along. We have no answers. The horse threw me, but I knew I couldn't give up. In life, we're going to be thrown. We're going to have those times we're going to be thrown off the saddle, out of the saddle, off of a bareback, whatever. You guys know about my sister, Jan, that passed away in the car wreck. That was a huge throw from the saddle that I did not think I was going to come back from. But being a Christian, I realize, and I hope that you realize, we cannot be thrown from the saddle and not get back up. That's not pleasing to our Father. We are children of the Most High God. And Jesus came to give us life. John 10:10 says, Jesus came to give us life, and life more abundant. Jesus also said, in this life, you'll have tribulations. You'll be thrown from the horse. You'll have times that you're knocked down. I had a brain bleed. You talk about being knocked out of the saddle again, not knowing what was going on. But we have to get back up. Unshakable faith. Faith that can and will move a mountain. With faith is worth fighting for. And that is worth living for. So today I want to remind you that no matter what we go through, do you think of Paul? Paul in the Bible had tribulation after tribulation. He was knocked out of the saddle. How many times? Just over and over. But he never gave up. He couldn't give up. I had 2 brothers that both went through a devastating divorce. They never could pick themselves back up out of the back off the ground. They were knocked out of the saddle. They did not ever pick themselves off the ground. They lived short lives, and it was choosing because of not getting back up. Their lives were shortened. They were alcoholics, and that was a testament to me. You cannot wallow in it when things happen, and yes, it does happen. Jesus said, "In this life we will have tribulations, but be of courage. I have overcome it all." Do we believe that, or do we not? We must believe it. You know, I think of another time, Joe had gotten a horse named Lady and was out riding Lady, and he was a barrel racer. So he was going around the barrels, and he spurred her. Well, when he put the spurs to her, she went into bucking, and I went into screaming. And I screamed as much as she bucked. I was screaming because she was bucking so hard. Well, she took off to the barn, and as soon as Joe got near the barn, he jumped off. And when he jumped off, she went into the barn. He went in and got her. He had to do the same thing he had told me to. You get bucked off, you get back on. So he went out in the barn, got her from the barn, got back on her. But he realized, I can't spur her. She doesn't like it. And in life, there's a lot of things that we have to figure out. What is it that we need to figure out? He had to figure out she didn't like those spurs. He took her back out around the barrels, did all 3 of the barrels, and she was wonderful. He also showed her authority. Do you know, as a child of God, we walk in authority as our Father? When we use the word of God and we use that word with authority, the Bible says in Matthew 11 and 12, from the days of John the Baptist until now, Jesus said, the violent take it by force. The violent take life by force. How are we going to take it by force? By the word of God. And so whatever situation we're facing, when I went through this death with my last sibling, my last best friend, the one that rocked my world, thank God. First of all, I had UI people that helped pull me out, but also I had scripture that said, you can't stay down. Jesus came to give me life, and life more abundant, even through the times of being bucked off of life. And I had to pick myself back up. Was it easy? No. Did Jesus say life was going to be easy? No. But is it worth fighting for? Absolutely. We have our children. We have others that we need to minister to. We have, there's a world that needs us, ladies. There's a world that needs our message, our voice. And if we get bucked off the saddle and we don't get back up, and we are not walking in the authority that Jesus said we could have, we've missed the mark. I want to be like Paul. I want to stand before the Lord one day, and I want to hear him say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. You have fought the fight. You got back in the saddle. You didn't let your faith was shaken, but you didn't let it stay there. And today I want to remind you, life should be fun. When we are shaken, we need to shake it off, get up, dust it off, and have fun. And I'm going to say that fun word with the F for faith, unshakable faith. And we will have notable experiences that we will get to share with the rest of the world. Would it not be worth it? Absolutely. So shake yourself off, live that life unshakable, with faith, unshakable faith, and have a life worth living, a life worth sharing. I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in all the world. Today, I have 6 children. When the doctor said I wouldn't have any, was that a fun life? Have I had a fun life? I turned 65 this year. Have I had a fun life? Absolutely, because unshakable faith works. Love you.
Awesome.
Good job,
Nice,
Meg.
nice.
That was
Well
awesome.
done.
Good job,
Really
Meg.
good.
If you
Awesome.
need guest preachers at your churches, May's available.
Right? So good, May. All right, who would like to celebrate? What resonated for you? What did you learn? What did you love about what she said or how she shared it?
I liked how you talked about the horse. Now, I would think I'm not getting back on that horse. And but it wasn't just you getting back on. You had someone there, as you say, was the authority. So it wasn't just you trying to do it yourself. And I appreciate that lesson.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara. Lisa, I see your hand is up.
It is. May, I completely forgot that we were just doing this short little inspirational night. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm taking notes. I'm here for the duration. I hope there's more to that message because we need more. That was just so well done. Again, the intensity, the delivery, it was intense when it needed to be intense. It was backed off and softened when that was appropriate. The personal testimonies, the stories you shared, everything was so relevant. So just high fives and well done. Thank you.
May, I love your ability to plant us in space and time and make us feel that we are right there with you, living out these examples in those stories. And your delivery is so engaging. Your willingness to be vulnerable is just something to be commended. And I just really appreciate your willingness to take us on this journey tonight. And I love the takeaway of what FUN stands for. I think that's a really powerful way. And I wanted to hear more. I was left going, yeah, I'm ready for the next 20 minutes of this talk. So thank you so much for sharing. Job well done. And thank you for being willing. I know you've had a lot of trials over the last couple of years, but you've always shown up and you've continued to share your message. And it's going to be so fun to see how God continues to take everything that you have been dealing with and use it in this form of speaking to bless others. So let's give you another huge round of applause. Great job.
Yay, May.
Nice
job, nice job.
Great job to everybody. This was awesome.
Yes. Yes, I just want to say again, a huge congratulations to all 6 of you. It takes a lot of courage to stand up here and do what you've done tonight, and we are all so proud of you. Natasha, I would love to turn it back over to you, but just want to say one last time, congratulations to everyone, and thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your journey. This is awesome. Oh, there you go.
Here we go. Hey, thank you so much. First of all, to Kristen, you can tell like these women, just watching them grow, some of them over the past year, some of them over the past 3 years with Kristen, working with them as speakers. I mean, it's just such a testament to your gift that the Lord has given you, and you are just so incredible. And I just love that you just brought the gold out of these ladies. And to our 6 amazing speakers, just well done. I mean, y'all had me laughing, crying, taking notes, like all the different things. And you just truly are unstoppable influencers. You embody what it means to be a light in the world. And it's just so evident how all the different ways that the Lord is using you to go out there in the world and just do big things. And so I'm just so proud of y'all. And I'm just so grateful to everyone who came out here tonight to support our speakers. If you know these ladies, make sure you're following them on social media. If you want to get in touch with them, I think pretty much everyone knows me. So just send me an email if you need. On the registration page, all those that have websites, you have the ability to click on their websites. But if you want to get in touch with them, let me know. And I'm happy to give you social media handles and all that stuff. So thank you so much tonight. This was just amazing, and so glad that our gathering table community could come and get to know our Unstoppable Influence community. This has just been such a precious and special time. Thank you to everyone. We love you all.
Thank you for being such a great audience. I have to give a shout out to audience and being willing to celebrate all of these women so well. So thank you for that.
Yes. All right, friends. Well, thank you again. Love y'all and have a great rest of your evening. Well done, ladies. Bye.